I was on Twitter the other day, and I noticed all these tweets from people support Shudder, save Shudder. So Shudder is the best thing ever. We got to support Shudder, and I'm going like, what the hell's going on here? What's wrong with Shudder? Is Shudder going away? Is Shudder in trouble? What's the deal? And the best info that I could ascertain was that, and correct me here if I'm wrong with any of this, uh, their parent company is AMC, correct?
Yep.
AMC is not having a great time financially at the moment, and so they have asked, they've forced some downsizing on Shudder's part. They've laid off a bunch of people, of course, right before the holidays, which is the best time to get laid off. And so that's kind of, people are concerned that Shudder is either going to go bye-bye or their monthly price is going to go way up, which, I mean, they're like, what, $6 a month? Are they still $6 a month?
$5.99, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that it hasn't gone up to at least double that by now, to be honest. Because, I mean, look at Netflix and all these other platforms. They're constantly raising the prices. For them to still be $6 and provide as much content as they do, and a lot of original content, is pretty stunning. But
it's a hell of a value. I'll still, if they raise it to $10 or $12, I'll still pay it. I watch more on that than Netflix.
Even at $10 or $12, it's still a good value.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people are concerned that Shudder, something's going to happen to Shudder, that Shudder may shutter. Is that something that we should be in fear of? And I mean, how is that going to affect our ability to access, not just the mainstream stuff, but they've got a lot of, Shudder's got a lot of more obscure titles and a lot of really good movies that, you're probably not going to find on Netflix, or you'd have to dig on Netflix to find. So I don't know.
Let me ask y'all: is AMC under Warner Brothers, or is that totally separate?
It's separate.
Okay.
So I was going to say, as before Lauren goes on, I was going to say, as a stockholder of AMC, I can tell you it ain't doing good.
So it depends on what you want out of Shudder, whether you should be concerned or not. I don't think it is survivable long term, but there might be in the short term. We might get 6 months, 8 months of a version of Shudder going forward, but it's going to lose a lot of the things that for a lot of people was the whole selling point. The ability to provide exclusive content. They buy those films at market. They don't make them. That people need to understand that. So they go to TIFF and they'll buy a bunch of independent horror films from around the world, sometimes as a package, sometimes individually, and they'll dole them out through the year so that they have exclusivity, right? So an example would be Saloon, the best film of the year. So that's probably going away because you need to be able to afford to do that. Then you have your ticket item releases. So this is your Carpenter films. This is everything that Scream Factory has licensed to them, for instance, because Scream Factory only go for titles that actually sell, right?
Right.
Those are going to have to get scaled back big time. And the reason there is that the share per click is going to be less profitable for the rights holder, the distribution rights holders, as opposed to the rights owners of the film itself. Than simply going to, Amazon and selling the movie outright or putting it as a part of Prime. Whereas they're going to do just as well, but they're going to hit a larger, more mainstream audience with titles that people actually search for. Things like the Vinegar Syndrome titles, by and large, will safely stay. because honestly, it's a niche audience, and no one is going on Prime looking for most of those titles. The older titles, the legacy titles, will probably move on, not immediately. But if you have enjoyed being able to go back and watch Hammer films or so the Amicus titles that are on in particular, it sounds like I'm mentioning just British stuff, but Mike's here, so it all works. That stuff's going to find different homes because all that stuff has rights holders that also have streaming platforms that are not going to see an upside to Shudder anymore. So Shudder will probably remain for a while, but what's available on it is going to start dwindling very quickly as new contracts have to come up. And ultimately, what it comes down to is if they raise their price and reduce the content, there's only one way that ends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I hate this so much because I was one of the earliest converts, and I was one of the first to be screaming to people that they needed to support this. And I love Shudder to death. I think everyone knows I love obscure and foreign. That's where my love at the moment is. They've done wonders. So has Netflix, if you know how to search for it. Don't get me wrong. But damn it. There was certain curation that was happening there that is kind of priceless, and we're losing it.
You'll see, and Shudder will promote a Saloom or a Moloch or
It's also into my top 5 movies of the year, and it's theirs exclusively. So
yeah. Whereas if it's on Netflix, I mean, you've got to dig for it. It's not going to be promoted, and therefore a lot of people aren't going to see it. So that's one thing I do love about Shudder is that they promote these movies and they go out of their way to get them, and again the price point is just is ridiculous, but it's
I mean, that's a cup of coffee every month.
Yeah.
To get that.
Yeah. And like, Nico commented streaming is imploding based on intel from his friends in the business. We were talking about Disney Plus not long ago, and Disney is having financial issues because Disney Plus is not returning their investment. This is Disney we're talking about.
That can die, but not Shudder.
Is the issue, because Lauren said it, everybody's got their own streaming platform. Is it the issue of there's just too many?
Yeah, definitely.
Or is the issue that, well, I mean, I guess the issue is that
Piz, you tweeted out about Shudder, right? And like, I didn't know what you were talking about, so I tried to do a bit of digging, and especially when you posted about the Patron stream talking about Shudder's problems, and I googled it, and I couldn't really find any information. Went into Twitter, still wasn't really that much information, and that really sums up Shudder's issues. Is like Shudder has got an issue where they're going to have to lay off staff, but it's barely making a mention online because it's Shudder, it's not Netflix or Amazon Prime. So if that kind of like sums up Shudder's problems, it's like a lot of people don't even know that Shudder even exists. It isn't. Horror is not a niche market, but a horror specific streaming service is quite niche, and there is a cost. I mean, certainly in the UK, across the Western world, across probably the whole world, there's a cost of living crisis. People are having to streamline. Mums and dads with the 2 kids, boy and a girl, 3 boys, 2 girls, whatever you got. They got Disney Plus, they've got Frozen permanently on streaming. They've got the MCU for the boys. People have got Netflix for Stranger Things because Stranger Things never went to physical media. So people who are up, Stranger Things is massive. It does like 1 billion hours of views this year alone. If it's not going to go into physical media, and they'd be stupid to do that, really, if they keep it exclusive to streaming, you're going to keep a lot of people locked into Netflix because there's a lot of Stranger Things diehards who will never get rid of Netflix just because of Stranger Things. They took a hit when they lost The Office because The Office is a 15-year-old show, but it was doing massive numbers because normies watch The Office, normies watch Stranger Things, and it's normies who keep these streaming services afloat. Normies do not keep streaming services, like, sad to say, but streaming services like Shudder, who are pushing movies like Moloch, which is a great movie, by the way.
It is.
Normies are not keeping these streaming services afloat, and it's sad, but it's just the way of the world.
Yeah, I want to kind of echo on that. I think it's also the retail business. You know, at one time you had 10 places where you would shop at, and now it's limited to like Amazon, Walmart, or these big chains. You know, this is a weird example, but the hardware business. Now you go to Lowe's or Home Depot. You don't go to your local hardware store. So at one time, you might have had all these other streaming services, and now they're kind of being limited down, funneled to like 3 or 4. Those are the main ones that you now go to. It's really a shame because it's cutting out all those ones you really that have those unique movies like that. But I kind of feel like that's what it's funneling them down, because even Netflix is making, aren't they coming out with the ad-based one as well?
Yeah. There's and I think
Disney Plus is coming out with an ad-based one too.
There's another one that's already got ad-based one. I think it's maybe HBO Max or one of the other ones already has that option of.
Peacock has ads on it sometimes.
That's it. Peacock. Yes, that's it. Yeah.
So it's like all of them are making changes, and some of them are being dropped, or because I still remember whenever DC came out with one, and you know, you had access to all their comic books, and obviously they're under Warner Brothers, so that got into HBO Max. But it did seem like at one time everybody had their own streaming service, and now that's kind of being funneled down.
Yeah.
So if I give a quick analogy, what it feels like, it's Shudder. Everybody's loving Shudder. So it's Shudder is the art house student, but dad has gone bankrupt. I just looked at it real fast. AMC stock started the year at $26 a share. It is now $5 a share.
Ooh.
So when daddy goes bankrupt, you can't afford to support anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Permission, Piz, to go on an angry rant?
Of course.
Why do you need permission?
Because this is going to be painful. So I guess the real question here, right, is why? Why is Shudder in this place? Well, motherfuckers, it's us. I'm sorry. You know what? I'd like to say that Dan, you've done your job and I've done my job, and Piz, you've highlighted some obscure films that are on Shudder, and you know what? We all have. But you know what? The average person is still clicking on a motherfucking Halloween Ends video, and they're still talking about the big fucking franchises and ignoring everything else. Halloween Ends isn't on fucking Shudder. Okay? Shudder is curated for horror fans who want to be adventurous and bold, and there aren't enough of us. So every time we go back and talk about the same bullshit fucking issues, every time we are broken records, we set up a situation where the next Shudder will fail as well. Because the reality is, unless we expand our interest past a few IPs, then only a few IPs can really survive in the marketplace. We're to blame. It's not COVID. It's not AMC theaters. It's us. We have to do better as fans and support, and truly support, the bold, beautiful things that are coming out now, as well as our glorious past. You know, if you are one of these people who won't watch anything that's more than 10 years old, you're hurting us. There's too much great stuff. Ghost Watch is a better film than anything probably that most people will see for the last 5 years. That's a little bit of hyperbole, but not much.
Amen.
But to get the average person to actually watch it, sorry. So yeah, I mean, why is Shudder dying, and why is it going to be harder for all of us to find things to fill up to fulfill our appetites for new and different? Well, because there are just more people that want to see the Michael Myers mask, and hey, I don't care if it's a good film or not, as long as it has Leatherface in it, I'm cool. Sorry, you're the worst thing for the genre. You're what's killing it. Horror's never been more popular than it's been at this moment, but we've lost the plot and we're losing the future. And this is just emblematic of it. AMC needed to find fat to trim. This was the easiest fat to justify trimming. Thank you.
Thank you to all my patrons and channel members. I appreciate your generosity and support of my channel. Become a patron today and have a say in what content appears on my channel. Join me for monthly live streams and much more. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream. Both those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.